Welcome to the Charleston Chicks podcast, where life gets better, bolder, and a little bit bonkers. We're three fierce, fabulous, and 50-something women who've been there, done that, and got the battle scars and laugh lines to prove it. Think of us as your go-to girlfriends, dishing out real talk on friendship, love, career, and connection. Because let's be honest, life after 45 is where the magic really happens. From navigating reinvention to new careers, dating, marriage, and surviving hot flashes with style, we're here to laugh, share, and dive deep into all the messy, magical moments of midlife. So grab your favorite drink, get comfy, and let's dive into the conversations you actually want to have. Because at this stage, we're not holding back, and neither should you.
Welcome to the Charleston Chicks. We are so grateful that you're here. In this week's episode, we are going to go deeper into friendships and making friendships later on in life. It can be really hard, but it can be extremely rewarding. Something that I have realized about myself is that as I've gotten older, I've set better boundaries in honoring myself, which has created better friendships for me. Jen, what do you think about friendship later on in life? Has it been hard for you?
Not really hard, no, but I have had to make an effort. Like, you have to consciously decide that you want to welcome a new friend in. I mean, it can be very easy to not put yourself out there. You know, we moved quite a bit, and every time my kids started a new school, I didn't know anybody. I didn't know any of the moms, and I always wanted to get to know the moms. A lot of times, pretty much all the time, the moms all knew each other. So I had to just move at a pace that I was comfortable with, and, you know, not like make a big splash, so to speak, in the pool and be loud about it, but you have to show up and participate and make yourself noticed so that you can meet people and let them know that you're interested in connecting, right? And I think that a great thing to do is just to go up to someone, introduce yourself in a way that you're comfortable with, and just ask them questions about themselves, not in an interrogating way, but in a truly curious way. Just, you know, how long have you lived here, or who are your kids, or what activities are they involved in, or what do you do? What do you like to do in your spare time? Anything like that that can start a conversation. And then hopefully somebody responds on the other end, right? Hopefully you have a great conversation. Sometimes they don't. And then you have to make a decision. Are you going to hang out? Are you going to move on to the next person? And then eventually you'll find people that you really connect with. And then that's how you develop beautiful friendships, I think, at any stage.
I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. How about you, Melanie?
When I think about the friendships I've formed later in life, minus two of you, because you definitely fall in that category. But it's definitely friends, moms of my kids' friends. That was a lot of the circle, like you were talking about, like meeting other parents, because you have this commonality. But in thinking about that, I know that I've met someone and I've talked to them like at like a school function or a sports thing or whatever when my kids were younger, or at work even now. And you feel like, okay, I like them. And then I would reach out to say, hey, do you want to grab a drink or lunch or whatever? And sometimes they respond and sometimes they don't.
Right.
And I've definitely had situations where I've had response and maybe we met and it formed into a friendship, or it did never really go anywhere, or that I've reached out and not really had that invitation taken up. And I'm like, I'm like, okay, well, that person's not interested for whatever reason. Don't take it personally and keep it moving, because there are other people that I think would like to be friends with me. And so it's not taking it personally when it doesn't form into a friendship.
Right. Not making it about you at all.
Yeah.
Because we know, I mean, all the things that are going on in the background of our lives, that it's sometimes they just don't have the bandwidth.
Right.
And so keep it moving. But it's different than younger, because when you're younger, you're going through the same thing in life. And then at some point, like after college, it like becomes spread out. Like we're all doing it shifts, or everyone's doing very different things. Mm-hmm. Some people are having kids, some people are traveling, some people are getting married, some people are climbing the corporate ladder. And it's entirely different and harder.
So as you're saying that, I kind of feel bad because I know there's some people who have reached out to me that I have not responded to for no other reason than I'm doing 1,000 things at the moment, working, having stuff going on with my kids, something happening to my animals, anything. And I've forgotten to get back to them. And then I think about it weeks later and I feel so bad. So that's now on me. And now I'm going to go through my phone later on tonight and make a list of the people I need to contact. But, I realized when I first moved here and I created the Mount Pleasant Charleston area Ladies Happy Hour group, I was meeting a lot of people, but I wasn't great at boundaries with those people. And I would let everybody in until I was so drained, I couldn't take it anymore. And so I had to learn that just because somebody wants to be around me doesn't mean they're good for me. And I had to really work on what is good for my life and better boundaries with friendships and not letting people get away with things that I wouldn't want happening to one of my kids. And that was a life lesson that I've only learned in the last handful of years. There's always things changing and evolving. And thankfully I've grown stronger and better boundaries, but it's hard making friends later on in life. It's amazing when you do and when you truly connect, because I'm here with two of the most amazing women I know. Yes. Actually 3, because our producer Rachel is back here and we would not be here without her.
Absolutely. I think it's important to take note or notice of how we feel after we interact with somebody, whether it's in friendship, in romantic relationships, at work, colleagues, anything like that. But how do you feel after you've had a conversation with someone, whether it's in person or on the phone, over Zoom? It doesn't really matter, but there are certain people who leave you smiling afterwards. And I've noticed who those people are in my life, and I just want to be around them more. Like I want more of that. And other people who maybe don't leave you smiling. And it's critical to limit that contact as much as you can. And especially as we are all 3 entrepreneurial women, and we're growing and we're going to our next level and trying new things and putting ourselves out there and taking this uncomfortable action. It's really important to surround yourself with people who build you up and who lift you up and elevate you and whose energy you feed off of, in a positive way and connect with. And it's actually an exercise that I do with my clients a lot. As they're growing and taking action towards their next level of growth. It's who are the key people in their life and who are they surrounding themselves with, and who I've actually had some clients start to stay away from some people and their careers really took off.
So I've heard you talk about the circles.
Yes.
Oh, I love this topic. This topic changed my life.
Mm-hmm. Which I never knew that I practiced that. But when I heard you describe it on one of our conversations before, I was like, oh, there's actually I don't know if theory is the right word, but there's a whole concept around this that I think is great. I'd love for you to share that.
So I was 18 years old and it was freshman, psychology 101. And I cannot remember who I can attribute this to, which psychologist. It might have even been an anthropologist. I think his name is Robin Dunbar and has a theory called like Dunbar's numbers, I think. He talks a lot about concentric circles, but I'm not sure if it was him. It was probably a psychologist, maybe. I don't know. The point is that if you think about yourself in the middle of a circle and your most important people are right there. So maybe when you're a child, it's yourself and your siblings and your parents. And then the next level out, the next circle around that, maybe is your best friend or best friends. And then the next circle out are people you're loosely friends with. And the next level out are even more like acquaintances. And as you get older, it shifts. So maybe as you get older, then the inner circle is your spouse or your own children, or it could still be your siblings and parents. It's up to you. But the point is that people can move in and out of those circles. This is what's really important, is that you could have a really, really close person in your life who, let's say, is in the first circle, and then maybe there's a terrible falling out. And you don't want to lose the relationship, but it's certainly not going to be one you're going to hold close, near and dear to your heart in the same way. And so maybe they move from the first circle out to the fifth circle. Or maybe it's somebody who you've always seen around town and you've always liked, and they're always kind of in the fifth circle, but circumstances threw you together and you realized, oh my gosh, you're awesome. They think that you're awesome and you think they're awesome. And next thing you know, you start to hang out with them more and more, and they go from the fifth circle, maybe to the second circle, maybe eventually one day to the first. And so it's just a great visual internally to see relationships for where they are. Ultimately, I've internalized it to protect my heart and my healthy boundaries, as we're talking about. And it makes sense of relationships for me very, very clearly. Sometimes things happen. Sometimes we feel hurt by things, and it's painful. And then when I think about those relationships in terms of the circles, it's very helpful for me to think about it as a breathing, sort of like a breathing framework.
That helped me so much when I was going through some friendship changes, and I always feel bad. I used to be called a home for strays, like people who would just come to me who needed help, and I always felt bad not doing the things for them. And we had this talk one night about the circles, and you really helped me realize what is important and how to still be friends with those people, but not have to fix everything.
Yeah, I think to your point, because Lisa told me about the circles and we had a whole conversation where you talked about it with us, is when you have someone who's in that closer circle and something happens, and realizing things you have to let go. Like, people change, circumstances change, and that can be really hard when someone who maybe you thought you trusted, you have to move them out. But I think it's imperative for your boundaries, like you said, to protect yourself, that to recognize that relationship is no longer the same. And it's okay. You don't have to, it's not like cut them out of your life. That you don't have to do the extreme thing. You can move them to a different place. And it's not an all or nothing. And it was really healthy. And that circles visualize, puts it into a visual context. And I know I've had friends who have gone through that. And it's really challenging. I think as women, our connections are so important to us. We get through life. So it can be so challenging. and having a framework to be able to be okay with moving people out and also moving people in.
Yep.
Yes.
And someone you've made, like you said, known forever, that suddenly your paths are crossing and you have more in common or whatever it is, and that you can, and then you become much closer. So I think it's awesome.
It's amazing. Yeah. To think about it like a continuum and it's just always flowing and breathing. I've actually had clients actually draw it out and physically write names and put names. And it's very helpful when you see that. I would even recommend if anybody's interested in doing that, it's very helpful to put pen to paper and see it because it really makes sense. And the other beautiful thing too is it helps you clarify sometimes even who's super, super important. It's like, oh my gosh, you know what? I need to, or I want to spend more time with you, or you're part of my inner circle. Literally, you're my inner world.
Because let's be real, not everyone has the same importance. We would like to think, everyone has the same level of importance in our lives, but they don't.
They can't.
There's
There's not enough room for us to have that happen. I mean, we don't have enough bandwidth.
Exactly, and then it becomes, I guess, more like people pleasing, which
me, yeah, I've done that for far too long.
Which we've all. I mean, I've done in the past, more than I probably would care to admit. So
your circles exercise, I actually did it. I wrote it out.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Oh,
I
good.
wrote it out.
Okay.
And I wrote it out based on the level of friendships, but also the people of importance, the people who cared enough to dig deep into my life, into what was going on in my daily or in my kids, the people who really cared. And it was very interesting to me how some people who I thought were on the innermost circle are the ones that didn't go deep with me and didn't take the time to care. They may have physically been there, but they didn't go deep. And yet there were people who I had in the outer circles who really were going deep with me and were there helping me do things. And it showed me, regardless of what I was giving to people, what I was receiving from people. And that made a really big difference in my life. That helped me to create some boundaries and realize that I really and truly was giving too much of myself when I wasn't, when I shouldn't have been. And then that those people who really and truly were there for me and would go deep and would do the hard things and would be there, I would move more of those people in. And it's been life-changing for me. It's been truly life-changing for me.
Wow. I love it. Well, I'm glad you actually did the exercise and
Me too.
yeah, and took the action to do it. And it is eye-opening and it's a beautiful thing because then that helps you like take inventory, right?
Mm-hmm.
or take notice rather of who's great for you and maybe who isn't. And then just do more of what's great. Do more of what's working. Hang out more with those who you laugh with, who you really feel good with.
Yeah.
It's so important. And
people who lift you up.
People who lift you up.
Well, I could actually say something. I'm very fascinated about what you just said,
Why?
Which is that there are people who are around you a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not necessarily the people that are in your closest circle because their presence is not necessarily indicative of their relationship with you. Like it's what you're saying, the depth.
It's the depth.
So someone that you may speak to only a handful of times a year, but when you do,
There's a depth.
There's
there.
a connection and depth
Mm-hmm.
there is in your closer circle than someone maybe you see on a regular basis because
doesn't want to go deep with
that
me.
doesn't want to go
Mm-hmm.
deep and it's a more superficial. So it's like, quality over quantity.
Oh,
Right?
100% quality over quantity.
And I think that's definitely later in life so important.
It's so much more important to have a few great, amazing people around you who do go deep with you and who do the hard things than it is to have a room full of friends who are just acquaintance friends and don't do the hard things. And I think when we're younger, we want all those friends. We want to feel popular. We want to feel important. But as we get older, at least for me, it's been much more important to make my circle much smaller and tighter with people who genuinely lift me up and are my biggest cheerleaders and who make me want to do better every day. And that's been an awesome lesson for me and just an awesome growing thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
So if you had to choose a few words of like what you look for in a friend or in, a friend you have or in a new friend?
Someone I can connect with. People not afraid to go deep. Honesty. I think honesty, character, that's very important to me. And it takes us a while, right? It takes a while to learn these things in people, but sometimes you know pretty quickly that the moral character isn't going to lift you up and be good for your life.
I think the word that comes to mind for me is reciprocity in all relationships.
That's a good one.
I cannot give more than I'm getting. I also don't want to get more than I'm giving. And it's not like a tit for tat kind of thing. It's like I want to be in relationships where I know if I'm giving, that I will eventually receive also from that person. And so that there's like an equality in that relationship. And so I've said this before, I'm a shower upper. Yeah.
You are.
If you're any of my circles, particularly my closest circle, I'm gonna show up for you. But I also expect you to show up for me. And when you don't show up for me, I don't miss it. And if it keeps not being reciprocated, you move to the outer circle.
Yeah, I love
100%.
that. That's true.
So
100%.
that's like my barometer is.
So how do you figure? Because how do you figure your barometer? How do you realize that they will reciprocate in the same way versus they won't? How long do you, what if you keep thinking, what if you keep hoping they're going to step up? They're going to step up. They're going to do this. And then all of a sudden you're like, it's been years and I've been asking these things or wanting these things and it's just not there.
Theory, trust your gut. When your gut starts, hey, that's when it's like, it's not an all or nothing thing, but it's like when I start feeling this person is not, and then I'm paying attention and then maybe I'm giving and seeing if I get, and then it's a slow dissolving. I don't know, but I say it's your gut. Okay. You know, when your gut, when it's not feeling. Now, if it's someone I think you feel really close to, it's maybe worth a conversation.
Oh, 100% worth a conversation.
Yeah.
If it's close. If it was like, if you were feeling that way about me, I would most certainly hope you would talk to me.
Well, you better tell me to.
I would,
girl.
Right. I mean, like these
Don't be keeping me in the dark.
No.
I love you too much.
There are some people that the communication it just doesn't work. No matter how many times you try, how many ways you try, it comes across as demeaning or criticizing or something. And that's a hard thing to get through and to figure out.
Or they don't want to have deep conversations.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And if you can't have a deep conversation, how do you grow a relationship into a deep, long-lasting, lifelong relationship?
Yeah.
And I think it's different for everyone, how long they're willing to wait, let's say, for things to turn around. So I don't think there's a hardcore answer. I think I agree with you, trust your gut. But certainly if if there's like a thought that's in your head and all of a sudden it's now in your head and like you said, you're starting to take notice, then that's a tell. That's like, because normally in friendships, I mean, we're not analyzing it and like looking at it, just it's flowing.
It is what it is.
It just, it's flowing. But when you start to sort of be, I don't know, like looking at it, like observing it that way, then I think that's a tell. And then you start to know. I always like to look for patterns. And if you notice like they're continuously not showing up, one thing after the next, then that's when you know. And for everyone, it's different. I think you just have to follow what's right for you and always honor yourself first and what feels right for you. And like we talk about those healthy boundaries.
Absolutely.
And constantly growing our boundaries, at least for me. I'm working on them every day. It's not like it's something that automatically happened when I hit 40. I don't even think it automatically happened when I hit 45. I think it's a constant work in progress for me. So, what is one thing we can give as a takeaway from today's episode? Each of you, I'm going to ask each of you. Jen, what is one thing you have that...
Like rapid fire?
Let's go. Go. Rapid fire. Jen.
I know, it's your turn.
I think just that always know that friendships and relationships are on a continuum, and just using the circles as a way to help you sort of navigate having healthy relationships in a way that feels right to you.
Love that.
I will say, people you care about, give them grace, but notice when they're not giving it back to you.
That's a good one.
That's a really good one.
What you got, Lisa?
What do I have? I'm still working on my boundaries and learning. But I think when you continually give and realize that you're not receiving what you need to reevaluate that relationship.
Amen.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this episode of the Charleston Chicks. Please follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll see you next week.